Roommate syndrome is this new term that has been flooding podcasts. It's been flooding videos, websites, and it's something I have used quite frequently. I have it listed on my website. It's kind of a term to say, hey, and it really resonates with a lot of people because when we say, I think you're in roommate syndrome, oh, yeah, or before we say that, they might even say to us being the therapist, we feel more like roommates than we do like romantic partners. That is like the phrase I hear quite frequently. And when we break it down, so I very often find that what is one of the things that has happened is that the bidding to connect has stopped. And we talked about it in the last few lessons as to often why that happens, which is just not being turned towards or being mindlessly turned away from. And so we aren't bidding as much. And if we're not bidding to connect, again, on that emotional level, we're not connecting. We're not creating the opportunities for connection. So then we start bidding vaguely. Those still don't get turned towards. Or we start bidding with tasks. We start asking people to do things, empty the trash, do the dishes, put the kids to bed. Can you help me? It's the only way we connect anymore is logistically. So then I only bid to connect logistically. And I've had a lot of times what people will say is, so if that becomes the case, then I bid logistically. So when I see my partner, I'm like, oh, we got to get this done. I need you to do this. And it's all very much, here's the to-do list. So then what happens is that partner is like, that was awesome. Anytime she or he sees me, they just throw a laundry list of to-dos at me. So then what am I going to do? So then I avoid even more. And I retreat even further to my space. And I disconnect, or I find my distractions or my devices or my alcohol or my, you name it. And I go harder in that direction. And I pull even further away. And then we're like, okay, I'm going to emerge. I'm going to come out. I come out and it's like, again, even more so now. Because now I very rarely see this person. So it just gets into the cycle. And it's not fun. It's not sexy. Logistics are not hot. They're a part of life. Yeah. We got to get them done. I don't think we need to get as many done in a day. Or there are times that we can just let things go. But our focus has become so heavy on the logistics. And that becomes the only way we know how to connect. We can connect on co-parenting things. But even then, like over time, that starts to even be a challenge because we're not connecting emotionally and we're not having like really intentional positive interactions. So even like as we start to do logistical conversations, which might have felt like, hey, we can do this because there's no emotionality involved, because our relationship feels so empty and so logistically based or filled, that even that becomes hard. And now I have all these like resentments, or I have feelings that I'm not sharing. I have assumptions, or I'm hoping that you're going to just see how unhappy I am or how much I need this connection. Even though I'm not saying it and I'm acting really mad at you and I'm like not treating you very kindly, but like you should see through that and just love on me. But that doesn't happen. So like I said in the last session, it is all in the name. It is called bidding to connect. I throw out a bid because I want some attention, affection, something, connection from my partner. If the response I get to that does not feel good to me, if it is painful, if it feels rejecting, if it feels as though the response I'm getting is kind of leading me to believe that I am not a priority, or I am not valued, or the things I have to say matter, I'm not going to do it anymore. It is out of self-protection that I will no longer put myself out there to then just be left out there. It doesn't feel good. So I stop. And if I stop, chances are my partner's going to stop too. Or if they do continue to bid, I probably might be a little pissed. Like, you get a bid? You don't turn towards my bids. Why am I going to turn towards yours? And that's where we get starting to get stuck. I'm not turning towards, you're not turning, I'm not bidding, you're not bidding. Then we're not connecting. Like, I'm not bidding for sex, we're not having sex. I'm not bidding for quality date night time, we're not having quality date night time. My partner's not bidding for, conversation. So we're not having conversations. Unless we have to, because we have a decision. It's typically about a kid. Or, that might not even be true, because one person starts to probably make all those decisions. But we might have to talk about who's picking the kids up on Friday, or who's taking them to gymnastics and soccer on Saturday, or what does the holidays look like, even though I can't stand your family. That's not true. I really love my in-laws. But you know what I mean. And then those are the conversations we're having, and we're like, so we're going to go pretend in front of family, or we'll talk about where we got to get our kids and all these things that are supposed to be important, but we're not actually living a connected relationship or life. And for all the reasons I kind of said before, and we allow these things to happen. Distraction, devices, not being attuned, adding way more to our plate than we should because the neighbors are. Like, all of these things start to add up as to why we're not making the time to bid anymore. And the bid is, in my opinion, where it ends and begins. Like I said, very first interaction was a bid. However that looked, whether it was online dating or someone walking up to you on the street, you asking the person to dance, it's a bid. I want you and me to hang out, whatever that is. So we need to be clear in our bids. We need to be bidding more. Because I live with my husband and have done so for the last 16 years, I can just assume all kinds of things. Or I can just be like, well, hello, I live with you. I do all these things. You should know I love you. But if I'm not like, hey, I miss you. That's totally how I talk to you. I miss you. I want you and me to hang out. When can you and me hang out? I want to hang out with you. Not what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing this weekend is not a bid. It is a question. It can be a bid, I guess, for a conversation about what you're doing this weekend. But the bid part of the connecting is like, hey, I would like to hang out with you this weekend. So I'm curious to know if you're free, right? Because I would love to talk about the trip we want to take, start planning that. Clarity is so beautiful in the bidding process. I want to know what my partner is looking for from me. Then I'm like working with like real accurate information. And then I can make a good decision from there of like, am I in the right space for this? I've always turn towards first and foremost, but the ask might not be something I can do right in that moment. But I can always turn towards, I can always stop what I am doing for 30 seconds. Because my person's that important. They're more important than whatever I'm probably doing online. I can take 30 seconds to say, let me finish this 5-minute email and I'll come back. You know, when my husband asks me on dates, you know, like, oh, like you get to hang out with me, but like you want to hang out with me even more so. You want to specialize this hangout session by a nice meal. And you formalized it by asking me if I would go out on a date with you. I still want to feel like you're excited about me and you want to take me out and you want to talk to me about cool things. Not because you have to. We don't just have to because we're married. We should want to. Like, to get out of roommate syndrome, which is what this course is about, we need to be bidding. We need to be turning towards. We need to be creating opportunities for us to have connection. Like vulnerable, intimate connection where we are sharing fears and we are sharing vulnerabilities and we are feeling safe. And we are attracted and we have, desire. It might not all look the exact same and there has to potentially be some conversations to be had, but those are also bidding. Not a bit of, we never have sex anymore. It's not a bit. It's a complaint. Without any sort of like feelings attached to it, right? But if it's, I am sad, I'm confused, I'm also understanding from where we are right now in our relationship that sex hasn't been a priority and physical affection hasn't been a priority. I would love to open up conversation, maybe read some books so I have a better understanding, you have a better understanding of kind of what's going on for us right now. That doesn't feel threatening, that doesn't feel judgmental, that doesn't feel critical. It feels like a bid to connect about something pretty vulnerable, something pretty scary, with an intention of trying to make things feel more connected and to have a greater understanding. So when we bid and we're clear and there's some level of intention behind it, and then that's turned towards, and so we create this really beautiful positive experience. I need you to remember that positive experience. You might even need to write it down. Because like I've said before, the positive experiences often process through our brain quicker and we don't kind of highlight them enough and put them in the win box. But to remember it, to highlight it, to say, oh, when I was really clear in my bid to connect, my partner turned towards me. Maybe they always weren't able to do the thing, but they always turned towards me. I got to remind myself that part of why they probably were able to turn towards me is because I was super clear. And then that felt really good. Like, I want more of those type of interactions. How do I be sure I get those? So that's part of this homework. It's a lot. What I really want is some free writing about this pattern and this process and the cycle. Where do you see yourself in this? Where has roommate syndrome crept in? Might not be there all the time, right? When does it creep in? When do you notice it? Does it correlate to bids and or lack thereof?
How could you be more clear in your bids? What's blocking you from being more clear in your bids? Take some time. So a handful of times I'm going to ask you to get a free write. And I do this to my clients in session. I'm like, freestyle for me. I don't have a direct question. Hear what I'm saying and just spit out what is coming to your heart. Because sometimes we need that space to just throw it out there. So you can print out a couple. Or maybe you need to write a few things out. But this is a really kind of a crux point of all of this course and of this work, is if we are trying to get ourselves out of roommate syndrome, which is where we're just sharing space. It's not that fun. It's not hot. It's not sexy. It's not joyful. It's like, it's the best way I can describe it. And that's why you're here. You want to have more passion. You want to have more fun. You want to have more joy. We have to bid for that. We can't it just isn't going to happen. I got to bid for it. I got to jump out. I got to throw myself out there. And as a partner, then I need to work on also being more attuned, more present, more aware for when those bids are coming my way, so I can respond to them appropriately in a way that helps my partner feel prioritized, feel seen, feel like they matter, like I care, and I want to respond. All right. Good luck with this. This could be a more challenging one. And again, always pay attention to what blocks come up, what challenges come up. Why do you put it away? Right? Does it feel hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard, right? That's the point of this work, is that it's hard. Pay attention. Notice. These are things that if you do therapy later on are really good things to talk about, or even share with your partner. Hey, this part of it was hard for me. I might want to explore that a little bit more. And chances are we're going to come across it later on in future modules. All right. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.